So what should we draw? Draw. It'll be fun. I'm planning on doing more of these drawing streams. Fair. Thank you. Cool. I'm planning on doing more of these drawing streams. Uh, hopefully frequently. Hopefully regularly. I love drawing, but I don't do it consistently. I want to get better at it, and I also enjoy just making a good way to make stuff while also engaging with the audience, stuff like that. We could talk about drawing, we could talk about lore, we could talk about fantasy stuff, we could talk about life stuff, talk about anything. Well, since I have one viewer right now, and it's my boy, maybe we'll draw some stuff relating to Italian, maybe. Just like yeah, let's just drawing. Just let's just try drawing some fantasy stuff. Yeah, yeah. Let's try drawing some Callian stuff. Let's start with just like some base. I'm just gonna be really loose with it, just to get a vibe going. And then maybe we'll do some more detailed stuff as we go. So I'm gonna sketch for a bit, um, and just do some different designs, like mess around with his gear and maybe like try some different types of outfits and stuff like that. Um, I think sometimes like to really flesh out a character, it's useful to like do different versions with like different kinds of variations on like their gear and stuff like that, right? And I think like the main thing with Callian that I tend to think of is like the coat, right? Is like one big one. Um and then but he's got a little bit of armor too. Like besides just having like the leather and like the coat and stuff too. Like he's kind of like yeah, Callion's kind of like hybrid, right? Like he's not like full armor fighter warrior. Yeah, but then he's not quite like rogue, like, like full on mage either with like just like the clothes and stuff like that. Like he's got like that like sort of, cuz you can have a spell like as a spell blade, like you can have a spell blade who's like very armored, like fightery, like Eldritch Knight with like full plate or whatever. And as a mage, typically don't wear armor and stuff like that. Callion's kind of like in between, and you can kind of go either way with it. Like I can see Callion wearing like a lot of armor. I could see him wearing like no armor. But like I think yeah, I think like with his design, he kind of like has the perfect aesthetic to where you know exactly like kind of what kind of character he is because he's got some armor. So you know he's has martial capabilities. But he's not like he also has like the duster coat, right? Or like the sort of traveling like coat as well. And it kind of says like, you know, I'm kind of warlocky, kind of roguey. Um I think in terms of when it comes to like the stream itself, um, I definitely want to get some background music for the future. Um, and since I'm not monetized, I don't think it matters too much. Like I think I could kind of put whatever I want. I don't think, I mean, the stream's gonna get like taken down. Um, I don't think the stream's gonna get like taken down if I have like copyright. Well, then again, you could get a strike. I don't know. I don't know how it works. I'm gonna have to do more research and figure out like what I can do. But I definitely want music for the background too. As time goes on, I think maybe his like his calves are not. Um, Kind of weird drawing like this to be honest. I'm gonna have to get used to doing it on stream, having the camera like right above my hands. I can't like really like lean down in front of it like I normally do when I draw. So I don't I don't think it's a big deal, but it's definitely different than how I'm used to drawing. So I know, right? That's what I was thinking as well. Um, there's a couple different things. I think like obviously, I'm a sucker for anything um fantasy or anything historical. I think like fantasy, like some tavern music would be really cool. I also think like I really like I don't know if you're familiar with dungeon synth or like fantasy synth music, but like that's like a huge vibe. I think like some dungeon synth would be really cool for the background as well. It's got like a little bit more dark fantasy, a little bit more somberness to it. So maybe not for every stream, but like for particular ones, I think it'd go hard. Um Yeah, I'll have to show you some. I have a couple playlists on Spotify that I found that are really good. They have like it gives like a sort of retro, like sort of like 90s DOS PC RPG kind of vibe. Like it gives like early RuneScape, kind of gives like uh like Daggerfall, like Elder Scrolls like Arena Daggerfall, like it kind of gives probably a bunch of other old like 90s like fantasy RPGs that I haven't played as well. Like it's kind of cool. It's very fantasy and like the synth emulates like instruments, like traditional instruments, but like it sound like you can tell it's like synth. Um and it has like sound effects and stuff that kind of like make it feel retro-y, if that makes sense. Um, and it's a vibe. I really like dungeon synth and just and like synth in general. Like there's some really cool. think. The thing I like about D&D and like Forgotten Realms and the idea of playing in sort of a typical classic D&D world, especially one that's not mine, right? Because I don't feel a sense of ownership when it comes to like Faerun or that. Um, One of the benefits of playing and making stuff for one of those kinds of things is that you kind of have the liberty to throw in like designs and like aesthetics from anything. And I think like D&D in general, especially like a world like Forgotten Realms, like Faerun, have like some people say it's like a kitchen sink type world where um anything goes. It's just like, you throw in everything in the like everything in the kitchen sink or whatever the phrase goes. Um and that could be like a good thing and a bad thing. It's not my favorite type of fantasy, but one of the cool things is like you could have like I think with Callion, right? Like you can kind of do like a mix of like traditional style armor or like European style armor, stuff like that, or like, typical fantasy stuff, but like throw in a cowboy duster or like have the duster or the coat be sort of inspired by something else. I think like mixing stuff can be really cool sometimes. I think like if you're going to make your own world, you might want to decide like if you want it to be a kitchen sink world where like you just throw everything in there and you don't really care um what types of like influences are in it. Like it's kind of like, yeah, go put in whatever you want. Like anything goes. Um I've thought, to be honest, about like designs for all the different party members. Um I've thought about like how could I make designs for each of them that would be more like traditional fantasy. And so like how could I make, a sort of design for Callion, for example, where you still have the stuff that, Jordan wants, still have like the coat and everything, but then can I find like historical examples of some sort of long coat that still gives a similar vibe to like a cowboy duster or something like that, while being a little bit more historic, like fits in with like medieval fantasy and stuff like that. Um, but then I kind of thought, like, does it really matter? I mean, maybe if I was making my own world where I wanted, like, it to emulate a certain time in history, I would be a little bit more strict. But I think it's important as, like, a DM just allow your players to exhibit like their own creativity as well. Because I mean, like as a DM, you're already putting in all the work to like make the setting, plan each session and all that. Um, I tend to have tendencies of like wanting to be control freak sometimes. So I always have to like remind myself like, nah, just have fun. Let your players be themselves, like kind of just allow them to make their characters however they think. Try to make meet in the middle. And that's like whenever you're like planning a campaign or like a new world, like it's kind of important to pitch it and be clear about like what you want, because I think a world and a setting where you wanted it to be like fantasy but represent a sort of time in history or like a place in history is really cool, but you just have to like let your players know ahead of time that like that's what you want to do, so that way they think about like what kind of characters they want to make and like what how they want to describe their characters and stuff. Yeah, that's what I've thought too. I've thought when it comes to Callian, like of doing something where I think you could go back and forth. Like, I think a cape would look sick too. Cause like if he has like right now, I believe you have like scale mail on, right? So you have like that medium armor. I think there's a lot of different ways you can make scale look really cool. And then you could wear like a coat, like a heavy coat over the scale. Or you could also have like a cloak on top of the scale as well. Um, and if you even wanted to be more hidden, you could have like the scale, and then you could have like some sort of like leather vest or like any like some other sort of vestment covering that, and then having the coat or the cloak over it. Um, or you could have it like more like just out in the open, like just the armor and then like a coat, like or like a cloak on top of it. There's a lot of different ways you could like take the stats of your D&D armor and then like come up with a cool design that is unique and fits the character, like their vibe. And I think you could even do like a coat and a cape, because then I was thinking about Aragorn in the Fellowship of the Ring. He has like it's not like a heavy duster coat like a cowboy or like a like that kind of like classic duster coat, but it kind of looks like one. It has the vibe of one. It's just thinner. Like it's like a ranger version of that type of cloak, or sorry, coat, where Aragorn, he has like he's not wearing like armor in the first movie. He's just wearing like a shirt, and then he's got like a vest, and then he has like his ranger like coat, and it's just like a simple leather coat that kind of like goes down like in the shape of a duster, but it's just not really bulky. It's kind of just like slim. And then he puts on Boromir's bracers like on top of like the sleeves. But then he also has the cloak of Lothlorien that Lady Galadriel gives him with like the brooch and stuff. So like that's an example of how you can take the like two different sort of outer layer pieces of a costume and like think of a way to combine both of them, right? And because like all the Fellowship have cloaks, um, and Aragorn isn't described like he. I don't think he has like a coat per se, like in the books, like if I remember correctly. Like I don't know if I don't know if like it's described that he's wearing a coat. I remember watching a behind the scenes, um, uh clip from the making of the Lord of the Rings, because those behind the scenes special uh like the specials and stuff like on the DVDs are really cool. and a lot of like the how they made like a lot of how they made the movies were really really interesting. And I don't remember who it was. It was might have been one of the costume designers or something was talking about like when how they were going to design the costume for Aragorn, and they talked about how they wanted to give him a coat to sort of give him the vibe of like a cowboy or like a sort of like a like a rough and tumble like gunslinger like Wild West kind of vibe, because like he's a ranger and like that's kind of like the it's fantasy but it's sort of like an equivalent that can be sort of drawn upon. And I always thought that was kind of cool. Because I mean, like long coats and stuff were definitely a thing in like the Middle Ages for sure. But just like with the collar and like the cuffs and stuff, especially, which I think that cuffs a little, but um, there's like details on it that can make it more like cowboy than like medieval. And also that like medieval people just didn't use leather for clothes very often. But like that's like a big thing in fantasy that all the clothes were leather, and it kind of annoys me a little bit because I think it just looks silly. Like Game of Thrones does this a lot where like all the all the characters are wearing like leather pants and like leather like like shirts and stuff, and like to me it looks silly because it's like why would anyone wear leather everything? Like it's not really historically accurate, and it looks silly by today's standards as well. So it seems just like an odd choice to give like half the cast just like a shit ton of leather clothing. Um I think it's I don't know if people think like, oh, that's just how people wore clothes back then. That probably is partly where it comes from. Partly because someone in Hollywood thinks it looks cool, and then like everyone else just that's how it is. Ooh, I don't know. Um, but I think like a leathered coat would be regardless. Like like leather jackets are always sick. With the boots too, that's always a thing. Like, do we want to do like shoes, like leather shoes, like traveling shoes, or do we don't want to do more like swashbuckler like boots, where it's like, leather boots that have like the big cuffs on them? Like those always look cool too. Those are more like Renaissancey, I think, but like again, going back to what we said earlier about how like that's kind of one of the cool things about a a sort of like fantasy world like Forgotten Realms is like you can kind of like utilize and add like different types of fantasy, different types of like inspirations from different time periods. So you can have like pretty cool like musketeer, like pirate s boots. Yeah, I think yeah, I that's the cool thing. Like I feel like I feel like Callion is a character who's so versatile in a lot of ways because I feel like depending on like that one critical moment in his life, if it had happened differently or if it didn't happen at all, like you could have different versions of Callion where he turns out as like different classes. Like you could have a Callion who's like a swashbuckler rogue. Like you could have a Callion who's a ranger. You could have a Callion who's like a fighter. You could have Callion who uh I mean the possibilities are endless for a young man who is looking for adventure for sure. Um and obviously the version of Callion that we got is a warlock because of like him being at the like the either the right place at the right time or the right place at the wrong time or the wrong place at the wrong time, however you want to say it. Like sort of being there at that moment was like so critical. But I think if even if that didn't happen or if he wasn't there, I feel like we still would have gotten Callian as an adventurer at some point. And just because I feel like he like that's what he wanted to do. Like he wanted to be an adventurer. I think eventually he would have found himself in like some other situation. Um there are some aspects of this drawing that I like so far. Like I like the shape of the coat. I like how the boots are coming along, but he looks very roguelike in this stance, I think. Which probably make his knee stick out a little bit more here. But then there are things that I'm not liking so much about this too, and like that's always the thing about drawing that's kind of difficult is sticking with it, even if it's not like coming out the way that you want it to or the way that you envision it in your head, and like scrapping something and just being like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm gonna start over is so tempting, but it's not a good habit to have. So that's kind of like why I was saying earlier too, like it doesn't hurt to just go with it because then you can explore different ideas, right? Like as I was like starting gestural sketching, I came up with like a pose as I was doing it. I was like, okay, he's kind of like got his hands on his hips. This is Callian. Maybe he's got like his head down, his hands on his hips, and he's standing there thinking about something. You know, and so his coat, like the flaps of his coat are kind of like blowing back maybe because he's stepping forward or maybe the wind's coming by, but the rest of the coat's kind of forward. Maybe he's leaned into it a little bit. um I always think of like this character kind of like not so like he's high charisma because he's a warlock, but he's the type of high charisma that only speaks when it matters. Like he's like Keanu Reeves type of high charisma where like he's not talking all the time, he's not flamboyant, and he's not like, you know, uh super like frivolous in his actions and his talk because like when you yeah, like when you like role play him, like he does there's a lot of times where like Callian just won't really like talk for a while. And I think people sort of like or the party members like especially sort of like value his input, and so but he tends to wait until like the rest of the party will sort of like ask him something. And there's a while where like it was kind of like you know not what I envisioned at first, like when you sort of describes like the type of character, and then I realized like, oh, okay, he still has like that charisma, but it's like the quiet charisma. And so I don't think like I think like this pose is almost I think this foot is like coming too much. Like you could kind of be standing like that with your foot sideways, but I think this foot should be forward more. So that was like a little bit of a Um, so when I like in like I've done that other sketch, and I've had like a few small sketches here and there. And what I normally go for with Callion is any pose that's sort of, hey, what's up? Welcome, welcome. Glad you're here. We're doing a little bit of drawing tonight, talking about D&D, talking about some character design stuff. Yeah, we're talking about just like how a character's attitude, personality, and stuff like that could be like reflected in like how they look, their character design, their costuming, stuff like that. And what I was getting to right now is even like the pose that they take. Like when I'm thinking about drawing someone like Callion, like I'm like he's not gonna have like the same pose as like a swashbuckler. Even though I said like earlier, like I think there could be a version of Callion who is like a rogue or like a swashbuckler. If things had gone differently for him, like I feel like he could have ended up as a different class. But I think because he is a warlock and because of the things because of those like very important things that happened to him to make him a warlock, I feel like that makes him even more like thoughtful and like I feel like he's very like um going back to the quiet charisma thing as well. I think he's like very much like contemplative because he's always thinking about like his position. Like he's thinking about like the um oh, you're good. I'm muted and deafened in Discord right now. I'm just trying to get my flow when it comes to talking and doing something on stream at the same time, which I'm doing okay because we're getting a pretty cool pose for Callion right now, um, coming along, but it's definitely coming along slowly because I can talk and draw, but I tend to take long pauses, like as I'm really thinking about what I want to say. And sometimes I put the pencil down, so like we're making slow progress, um but we're not even talking in Discord. I'm just talking to Jordan through the YouTube chat right now actually. Just we're just doing it, you know, just through the stream itself. You think so? I think Sarek is a candidate for that as well though. Yeah, no, I think so what I mentioned earlier right before you got here was I think, you know, it was always interesting to me when like I was thinking about Callion like early in the campaign because um thank you, Jordan. Yep. Jordan is technically, oh wait, no, Jordan, it says you're number 2 now. It says, wait, does it say? It says you're number 2? It says number 1 up there, but it says Can of Worms is number 2, but then it also says Honey Badger is number 2. Are you guys tied for number 2? Um no. It's okay that you're spamming. It's okay that you're spamming just because it's you and just because I only have 2 viewers. That's the only reason why it's okay. Um, dude, are you really gonna try to get me banned immediately? This is my very first stream on YouTube, and you're trying to get me banned already? Yeah. So, uh, different. We were talking about the different kinds of charisma because when someone plays a warlock and they're high charisma, there's like a stereotype of what like a high charisma kind of character is. I think people think of like the face of the party being like very like cocky and confident and like outwardly charismatic, silver tongue, smooth talker, like cuz like usually the charisma person is the the person in the party who's going to be doing the most talking on average in most D&D campaigns. Um but then you have someone like Callian who doesn't really talk that much, but he's high charisma, and like it's cool how you can sort of see and learn as you play D&D, and like there's these funny ability scores that you try to like, you know, you're always trying to compare them to things and like figure out like what it means when you're role playing the character and everything. Um that yeah, you could have like a character who's like a quiet charisma kind of character, and I was kind of liking it to like Keanu Reeves, because I think most people would say that Keanu Reeves has charisma because he's so likable, and also he's like very well respected, like people like respect him and want to hear what he has to say and all that kind of stuff. um but Keanu is the type of person who like doesn't talk a whole lot. Like he's not gonna be the center or like the focal point of every conversation. He's gonna let other people talk. But when he does talk, like people like want to respect and hear what he has to say. Like they want to actually hear what he has to say. And then I was kind of like thinking like, you know what, maybe that's the kind of charisma that Callian has. Like he's not like, he is high charisma, but like he's not like trying to smooth talk people all the time. He's not trying to like use his charisma to like dominate, but it's still there. Um and I think he's very and then when I was talking about posing, and this gets into like, coming up with like a posing and stuff like that, is like when you're like kind of trying to come up with a pose for a character who's like a warlock, he's high charisma. He's a spell blade, he's a hex blade. It's kind of like, how do you want to pose him? He's not going to be like, like in, some sort of flamboyant stance, like, like in some sort of like, swashbuckling kind of thing. But Callion, I just feel like always has like, he's always contemplating like the situation. Because I think he takes the serious like situation seriously, and I think he knows that like, okay, like I have to figure out what's going on with like my patron. I have to figure out what's going on with like this magic that I have, and sword and everything. Um, you know, people are worried about this power that I have. People are worried about like the powers that I'm dealing with. Um, and so I usually think of Callion with like his head down a little bit. Like I feel like he's not usually like the type of like guy to like have, be like, huh, like with his head up and stuff. Like I feel like he's usually like kind of got his head down. Like I feel like Callion's like usually like kind of like brooding or like smoldering like a little bit. Um he's not really looking down too much, but we can kind of fix that actually if we put his hair. I feel like I mean, if I remember correctly too, I think his go-to kind of hairstyle is usually like kind of like half up, half down. But I always kind of like, I don't know, like I also kind of like, maybe, I don't think Callion's necessarily that malleable. Like I think I get where you're coming from. I think Callion does have like a lot of like sort of like confidence in who he is as a character. I think he's, not like molding himself, like he's not like swaying under the pressure of like other people's expectations. Like I feel like he he's very staunch in what he wants. You know what I you know what I want? Like you know what I mean? Like he's very staunch in what looks like a girl. Yeah, I mean I haven't put too many details in it. I mean, like we're working on it right now. We're gonna add some more details. But that's what Callion is about. Yeah. We're talking about D&D characters. We're talking about different types of like archetypes, stuff like that. Um, I'm gonna lower his chin a little bit more too, because I'm gonna try to have him like looking down. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. We're gonna go over this. Like we're gonna go over this sketch in pens. I got pens right here too, and so I think a lot of the messiness is gonna sort of be cleaned up if I go over it with pen over it. Ah, yeah. Hannah Worms and Honey Badger are fighting over who's number one right now. It's got to be joint order. I don't know, man. It says top fans. You know what I mean? It says number one, number two, number three, top fans. So maybe it was just because you guys were spamming earlier. I don't know. I'm learning this just as you guys are learning it. I'm new to all this. How about that? Give Callion like a little bit more. Give Callion a little bit more of like a beard on him. That's kind of interesting. I know he's more. He typically has more like more of like a light stubble, but it's kind of fun. It can kind of be kind of fun to what he would look like different. Yeah, I do a little bit of digital art as well. Um, on my iPad, I use Procreate. I'm not like super well versed in it yet. I've had it for a while, but as with a lot of things, it's like hard to be consistent, or it's not hard to be consistent, but I just have a hard time being consistent with it. And so part of the thing that I want to get better at is drawing consistently, learning. I mean, I'm pretty well versed in like how to use traditional media, like pencils, pens, um, that kind of thing. But I'm getting better at digital art as well. And I figured out how to stream using mobile devices and tablets and stuff too. So I can actually do a stream on Procreate if you guys would be interested in doing maybe the next stream on like Procreate with like digital stuff. Um, I'm more partial to like traditional art, but I think for the viewing experience, it could maybe be better if I was doing it on digital as well. So maybe we'll go back and forth. Maybe we'll do like a little bit of both. Um, 50 years, dude. Yeah, me and Flump go way back. 50 years. In my last reincarnation, we were best friends. Where I was Gavin, where I was him. Cool. Yeah, no, we'll definitely do that. Okay, so like I said, there's things about this that I like, and there's things about it I don't like. Um, and part of the thing that I've learned about drawing is sometimes you just gotta like resist the urge to just start over, and you just gotta be like, you know what? What can like maybe I take this in a different direction. Maybe maybe I try something that I wouldn't normally do because I'm too overprotective of what I have. And then you might be like, "Yo, this idea that I didn't think I would like actually is pretty cool." So, what can we add here? Because I mean, we got cool coat, like a little bit more there. Why not exaggerate it? We got a cool coat. Like we said earlier, he's a hexblade warlock. He's like a spellblade. He's got a little bit of an edge to him. Like he's got a little bit of that like dark kind of like edgy boy kind of vibe. But he still has armor. Like so I think what if we gave okay, so son of a blacksmith, right? Grew up around the forge, grew up around, working men and women, wants to be an adventurer, also emulates the man who taught him how to fight, who he himself like who also was an adventurer. So what else can we add to him? I don't think Callion's the kind of guy who would wear a scarf necessarily, but I kind of like the idea of having something around his neck. I think I think that could definitely be one of the inspirations because I know his player who plays this character loves Castlevania. I also love Castlevania, and Trevor's a great character. Callion's got the dark hair. He's got the stubble. He's and funnily enough, he even has a weapon that has a chain attached to it too, which wasn't really planned, at least on the player's end, because it was a weapon that he ended up well, I gave him as the DM, right? I thought it would be cool. He has this cursed chain sword. So okay, cool. Yeah, so he definitely was one of the inspirations. Yeah. And I think me knowing that he liked that show, I was like, that was part of it. And also, I was just thinking, like, what would be like a really cool magic sword that has like a little bit something different that you don't normally get. And also, when it comes to like being a warlock, being like a hexblade warlock, having a patron who's very shady, he doesn't know much about him, but you're definitely getting a vibe of like him being potentially evil. Um, and I was like, warlocks are like chained by their pact to their patron. So like what if his like cursed, hex blade that his patron has gifted him has that chain to it, and it kind of like represents like him, like the strings attached, right? Classic like warlock patron, like having like, having the power, but there's strings. Like there's that caveat that like you're not free completely to use it however you want. Um and also it's like a cool thing to like figure out how to use mechanically as well, because like you can use it to like give yourself more reach on like your attacks and stuff like that. You can also use it to like potentially restrain other enemies and other characters by using it as like a whip on the other end of it. um and so yeah, I think like definitely you get like sort of monster hunter, like vampire hunter vibes for sure. um So that being said, I think that's kind of like maybe Van Helsing is like kind of like another sort of cool vibe to think about when we're thinking about Callian. Um nah bro, the patron, the I'm assuming you meant patron. Nah bro, the patron in the sword had to be sealed in an ancient temple of Tyr is totally not evil. Bro's just a little grumpy from waking up on the wrong side of the blade. Yeah, dude. I mean, we can believe whatever we want, right? We're still early in the campaign. So, there's yep, exactly. Just needs a little food. Souls of the innocent. So it's not evil at all, dude. It's fine. He just needs a little. He's hangry. That's all it is. He's just hangry. He'll be fine. Just give him some. Just give him some snacks, and he'll start to feel better. Okay. Well, I think. Oh, you know what would be cool? I think honestly, I think having like like some trench coats have a sort of cinch around the waist and they have like a belt on the outside. I think for an adventurer, having like a belt on the outside would also be kind of cool. Because then you could like, especially when the weather's cold or if you're wading through like dangerous terrain and stuff like that, having like your belt on the outside would be good for multiple reasons. Um, Also because um you will all see like fantasy characters always have like stuff hanging on their belts, like they use their belts to hang like pouches and stuff like that. And having that outside your coat could be really useful, so you could actually access your stuff. So maybe having the belt on the outside, cool. I always forget though the types of belts which way it goes. I think it goes through this way and then loops. I mean, like YouTube is changing which. Why am I number three? What the flip? Are you gonna draw his weapon? I would love to draw his weapon. I think for this, I'm gonna draw his maybe his weapon on the side. Um, maybe I'll like draw on the side because I think the way that this one's working out at this point is with his pose the way it is, you wouldn't really see it and you wouldn't be holding it. And being a Hexblade Warlock, he can summon his weapon from like a pocket plane. So you wouldn't actually really see it in this pose. But I think I'll draw it on the side. Maybe I'll have it like floating here or something like that. Yeah, I kind of like the way that's looking. With the belt on the outside of the coat, I think that's actually pretty cool. And then, oh, maybe we'll have, I think, some kind of like stitch. Eh, we're gonna keep. We're just gonna keep. That being said, now what are we gonna do with his armor on the inside here? Because he's definitely got a little bit of some heft to his armor. Like it's not just leather. It's not just cloth. Like he does have some scale, which, you know, it could be like fish scale style, it could be more brigandine style, it could be like more lamellar style. Like you can get like you can sort of represent scale armor in a lot of different ways. Do we want to have it just do we want to have it like sort of mirror this like a sort of like front closure kind of thing where he has like, you know, ties or buckles in the front? Or do we want to have it more as like more of like sort of breastplate kind of thing in the front, right? Like so, you know, you would just see scales or you would just see like lamellar or like sort of plate. Do we want to have it hang down? I always like designs of armor that sort of hang down to protect like the outer thigh as well. And I think it can kind of like mirror the ins like mirror his coat on like the inside as well if we have it kind of coming down. I think would be pretty sweet. Um but it doesn't have to. It could just be like more like a little bit of chest protection and then he could have just some sort of breeches or trousers or something on the legs. Um, you should have a vest with a leather X-shaped harness with a skull in the middle. Oh, but it has to be armor. That'd be sick though. I mean, as silly as some designs are, like they have their place in certain media and stuff. Like I think like a barbarian wearing like a harness with just like a fucking skull like right in the middle. It's kind of ridiculous, but it's kind of badass. Like it's kind of funny, like in kind of a cool way. Oh no, yeah, for sure. Like he is like this. Okay, so the thing about Callian and to answer your other question, like it has to be armor. I like I'm trying to just emulate what the player of this character has described him as, and like he's a hexblade warlock. Like he has the stats of like scale mail armor. So I was like, I'm trying to think of like a cool way to like represent that, like that still feels somewhat authentic. Because I mean, with D&D and like tabletop games and stuff like that, you can just reflavor it as like whatever you want, right? But I like to try to like no, I get you. I get you. No, I get like I misunderstood you at first. Like I thought I was thinking like He-Man, like some sort of thing with like a big skull. But I understand what you say. I understand what you're saying now. And it's not that you can't explain things well. It's just that it's YouTube chat. You know what I mean? Like you're not gonna type out like a whole paragraph, so it's all good. Um, but no, like um, we're taking some creative liberties right here too, because I mean, like my this isn't my character. This is I'm a DM, and this is one of my players' characters, and I just thought for first stream, trying to learn how like YouTube works, trying to learn how OBS works, trying to learn how to stream. I'm also just trying to get a sense for like how to talk and stream and engage with the audience and do something on stream all at once, right? So I'm trying to like find my flow. And so, the my friend who plays this character was in chat. And so I was like, "Oh, let's draw I'll draw your character." That would be a good like thing that we can focus on and have fun with, because we can talk about it. We can talk about like the character, we could talk about the campaign, we could talk about lore, we could talk about whatever we want. We could talk about D&D, we could talk about fantasy while doing this. And I thought, he would have some input. Maybe other people who join would have some input. We could talk about, cool ideas for characters in general. And, we mentioned earlier too is that like it doesn't have to be like exact. Like this isn't like the official commission art of this character of Callian. Like this is just one interpretation, and we're just having fun with it. So does it have to be exact? No. Um and but I'm just trying to like think of, I guess what I'm trying to say is like I have like I do have like a guideline that I'm following of like, like okay, well I know his stats. Like I know like what he's going. Um and we can change things around, right? Because like maybe like I think it's always fun too, because if you have like a character in D&D, or even like in a video game or in a movie, we typically oh, thank you, I really appreciate that. That's really kind of you to say. um yeah, like my friends are having a great time on our campaign. We haven't been playing very consistently over the last few months because I moved. So we went from in person, like having a game around a table, to like now we're gonna like hopefully start again soon, but like online. And this is like kind of a fun way to like sort of talk about it again and get back into it and stuff like that. Um, but to go back to just kind of like the idea of like what we're doing on stream today is that like when you have like a character who's like D&D character or a video game character or like a movie character, we typically always see them in like one costume, and like that's their kind of costume or whatever. But like it's kind of fun to imagine like what other stuff they could be wearing, like what alternate gear or like clothing they could have. um and so I'm down to go off the beaten path a little bit, right? Because we can experiment with things. We can sort of like put him in different gear or clothing that he wouldn't typically have. Um, and it doesn't have to be like, this is the canon version of it. But, I'm also trying to like keep it somewhat consistent with how my player described him, just because I think it'd be fun, to show him the like a new sketch of his character and be like, hey, yo, like look at what we did on stream today. We made Callian. Um and then maybe he could like take this and like frame it on a wall in like a gilt gold frame and be like, "Oh my gosh, this is my greatest possession. This is like my favorite thing ever in the entire world." Man, my friend is just so incredibly generous for doing this for me. Um, but yeah, no, we can go off and do some different stuff. Um, and yeah, I mean, we're gonna do stuff here that's not D&D related too. I think most of the stuff that we're gonna do is, you know, fantasy or history or like mythology related stuff, but we can go off and do other stuff too. It doesn't have to just be like D&D specific, but typically like the stuff that I'm interested in is mostly like sci-fi fantasy stuff too. Um so we'll do other stuff too. I think I need to actually make a decision here because like sometimes you get paralysis and you're like, oh no, like I I don't want to continue with the drawing because I kind of like what I have, and if I add something, I'm gonna mess it up. But we have to move past that, and we have to make decisions. We actually have to do so. We have to kind of do. Or I'll beat around the bush a little bit. Put some stitching on this line that I put in as well. That way I can think a little bit more while still making some progress, which is always helpful. Um, so the thing about Callian that makes him such an interesting character, for many reasons, is so he's a character who is a good man. Like he wants to help his friends. He's he wants to essentially, help the realm by slaying this dragon that destroyed his town and killed a lot of his friends and family. He wants to aspire to be a hero like his mentor, who was a ranger, but he found a cursed sword and he got these powers that are from an evil source, but he's not corrupted yet. He's trying to do good, and it sort of was like, okay, I always wanted to be an adventurer. I always wanted to be a hero. And for whatever reason, there were so many reasons that were like, you know, oh, I can't go out yet because I have to help my father at the forge. Like he still needs my help. Like business is slow, or like maybe business is really fast and there's a lot to keep up with, and like I can't leave like our small town because like, he really does need my help with like actual the work of being a blacksmith and stuff like that. And he never really wanted to stay behind, like stay along the path that was laid out for him to just be a blacksmith like his father. He wanted to go out and see the world and be like an adventurer and stuff like that. But there was always a reason for a long time that he couldn't or just wouldn't leave home and like fully like set off on that path until essentially adventure came to him, and really wrecked everything that he knew and loved at home, right? Um, but in finding this object and like getting this power, it's kind of like, oh, I finally have, you know, essentially more power, more ability to be what I want, to go do what I want, right? I have this magic, I have these powers and stuff like that. So now I have the ability to go do good. I have the ability to slay monsters like these dragons and stuff like that. But the catch is that like it is slowly, you know, slowly revealing itself over time that like yeah, this energy, this power, like wherever it comes from is definitely dangerous and definitely does not come from like the chillest, most upstanding entity. So everyone around him knows him as like this good guy who cares about his friends and his, but they are seeing this obviously evil magic sword that he has and they're like really worried. So there's a lot of conflict around him right now, like in the campaign, in the story, because it's like people want to like him and they do like him, but they're concerned because they're like, oh no, like this is not good. Like if he's corrupted, this power that he has is very strong and it's looking to do some pretty bad things. So, and he doesn't want to give it up. Like he doesn't want to just like throw it to the wayside because he's like, no, I still have a job to do. Like I need to go like find this dragon, get my vengeance, and like save my town because these characters, including him, have actually seen this dragon recently. It is not gone. It is still in the area. It is still a very big threat. So it's not like a black and white issue of like, all right, like we just need to get rid of this sword. It's kind of like, well, we kind of need this because it's not just vengeance. Like there is very much a need to there is very much a need to actually slay this dragon. It's not just like we want to go out of our way to kill this dragon. It's like no, we need to because like it is flying around. It's still in the region. Like there are enemies afoot. It is a huge threat. So but does Callian also want to kill it for his own selfishness, like a little bit? Probably. So it's like it's very there's a lot of conflict. There's a lot of just juiciness like surrounding this character right now, like in the story. Because this sword also is not just random. It like the characters have also been able to like tell that like it definitely was not an accident that it was in this temple, like in the area that they're from, and that it was just happened to be revealed at this time. Like it definitely seems like, there's something greater at work here, which also adds to the sort of concern that perhaps Callian is out of his depths a bit. And the main question I think that most characters are asking when it comes to Callian is how much is he in control? Because he has that charisma and that respect of most people in his circles. So it's like they want to just take him at his word. And what his word is no, I have it under control. It's fine. Like this thing hasn't done anything that I cannot handle up until this point. Um, but that's the question. Well, how, how much control does he actually have? And for how long? He might be fine now, but how long will that last? So time to make a decision about the armor. I think this time what I have in my mind here is we're gonna sort of do something. I'm a big fan of like historical designs and stuff, but we're not gonna worry about keeping it super historical. We're gonna kind of just make some cool something up that looks cool. So I think for now we're just gonna kind of do. Oh yeah, now they're talking about a different character, Olivar. Yeah, no, Olivar is definitely not the main character, but he, I mean, he's an important character. So, I think this is. I think we're gonna do like some scale, and just to keep it like fairly consistent with like the stats that he has for this drawing. Maybe next time we'll a little bit more risque. We're just gonna do some scale armor. Like just typical kind of like fish scale kind of. We gotta make his hand a little grabbing the edge is definitely. Oh, I think when I go over it in pen, it'll probably look less messy. But I'm just trying to get like some semblance of like an outline like that I can follow to then ink in. But I think I always love to do like sketchy kind of like not super detailed drawings. 'Cause I think you can get a lot of like personality in a piece when you're not super worried about making it look clean. But I think the best artists have like a distinct style. I think if you're trying to be like precise, like you're just trying to be very like make it look exactly like photorealistic. I think that's definitely an approach you can, but then you have what I'm doing. It's a little less like of informed decision making, which I think is what dictates like an actual like really good style is like when you're making decisions on purpose to be like, okay, I know that this isn't how this is really supposed to look, but I'm gonna make it look this way for like a style choice. Step a little bit because I didn't follow the I was gonna have like a line where it scales and then underneath there's gonna be like leather or like cloth, and so I was gonna leave like another sort of edge here, and then I started going over it with scales. You can see where I went over it with scales because I wasn't paying. That's okay because we add it back in. Um, so I haven't done like a ton of like super. clean finished products sort of drawings in a while because maybe I have like commitment issues when it comes to drawing. I think like, well, if I don't care, if I don't like put too much thought into it, then I won't be upset when it's bad. So I'm just gonna do like a sort of impromptu, really sketchy, messy drawing instead. Because I know if I put a lot of time and effort into it, I'm gonna be really frustrated if it doesn't turn out the way I want. Um, which is not really true, I think. I think part of being an artist is being super self-critical because you want to get better. And a lot of times you're pleasantly surprised to actually finish something. Even if you're drawing it for like hours and you're just like, oh, this is gonna be so bad. But then you finish it and you're like, wow, this is actually a lot better than I thought. And that happens so frequently, I find. I'm like working on something and I'm like, damn, I just am not good. Like I don't have the skill that I want to have. It's this like I wish this was just looking the way it is in my head. And then I finally like just whenever I like force myself to finish something, I usually am able to look back on it and be like, wow, this might not be exactly what I was thinking in my head, but like I actually really like how this turned out. Pretty cool. Yeah, I mean it's kind of uneven because this one comes down further, but I think I kind of gotta going with this a little bit. Gotta add this go down. Thanks for tuning in on a Sunday night. Oh, a lot of people are gonna work early tomorrow on Monday, but it's nice and relaxing at least. So hopefully you guys are having a nice relaxing Sunday evening. Hopefully you don't have to work super early tomorrow. I think we're just gonna do. I don't think Callian has like super. I think he kind of has like something that's linen or wool that's sort of heavily stitched and like sturdy. I mean, he was the son of a blacksmith, so he was going to be a blacksmith if the adventuring like if he didn't get into like stuff like um do I have an eraser? Oh yeah. That's another thing is I used to have a very bad habit of erasing way too much. That's something that I've heard other like really accomplished artists say. They say quit erasing all the time. Like you have to just keep putting like instead of like going back and like erasing and then starting over again, you, like just put more on the paper. Like make more lines, figure out where the drawing's going. Because if you don't get a flow going, you're gonna stop dead in your tracks, and you're not gonna be able to like finish the piece. You're not gonna be able to like figure out like where it's going. You're constantly restarting. So, but then once you get to a point where it's starting to shape up, you can kind of like start erasing a little bit more because now you have like a better idea of what this is gonna look like, what it's gonna like shape up to be. Yeah, maybe this one goes out. I think that would look better. I always have a problem. I've always had a problem, and I'm not afraid to admit it, of doing feet and shoes. It's always super tricky for some reason for me. I know a lot of people have issues with hands. That's a common thing I hear from like a lot of artists is they can't do hands. I don't have as much trouble with hands. Like they are tricky, but I've never had like a super hard issue with hands. But feet and shoes are really really hard for me. Um, but I'm happy to say that I actually kind of like how these boots turned out. They kind of have like a cool flair to them. These scales kind of got messy. I'm gonna clean these because you're starting to get lost in the. I'm starting to get lost in the sauce a little bit. Like this side looks really clean. Like all the scales, you can kind of see how like they fall in the direction that they're supposed to be, and they kind of like are fairly uniform. And over here, I got lazy. Try to clean bigger. So this originally are the clips as well, a little bit. Okay, that looks a little better. That's serviceable. Not perfect, but when I come back with yeah, it looks. I'm not gonna get too detailed on his pants because like I kind of want to like move on. Like I actually really like where this is going. Um, but if we could get some ink on this and then maybe draw his sword, I think that'd be pretty cool. Maybe start to get like an end sight here. Is it the cleanest thing in the world? Oh, sorry. Is it the cleanest thing in the world? No. But I kind of like the vibe a little bit. I think definitely that's Callian on the road for he's been in the wilderness for like a 10-day or so, as they say in Faerun, and he hasn't shaved or trimmed his beard as much. Because I know that Callian usually has more of like a stubble. But the beard looks kind of cool. Callian Rocket. He's starting to look like his mentor a little bit. How are you guys doing? Thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm liking how the coat turned out too. It like you can kind of tell that it's got like kind of like an outdoorsy like woodsman kind of vibe. This might be a random reference, but there is a movie like a decade ago or more with Chris Hemsworth called Snow White and the Huntsman, and I think he was wearing a leather coat in that movie, and like he was like a woodsman kind of character, and like this sort of character is reminding me of that, which it wasn't a good movie, but like it was a cool idea for a character. And Callian is the son of a blacksmith, right? And then he finds this cursed sword. He becomes like a warlock, right? So magic and weapons. But his mentor who taught him how to fight and to be like an adventurer is a ranger. So like I kind of like this because it's starting to give like the coat and the hair and everything is like starting to evoke like a little bit of that backstory, right? Of like being a ranger, like growing up like in a frontier town. Because the town that he's from is very like Wild West, but in like a fantasy kind of way. And so like rangers and people who like can live off the land and adventurers and stuff like that um are valued. And his mentor being like a ranger, like I think for the first time, because I've drawn him like once or twice before. I did like a couple quick sketches of him before. I think this is the first time that like the sort of like outdoorsy frontier kind of like ranger kind of like part of his backstory is kind of like showing a little bit more, which is pretty cool. Hannah Worm says, I think it's still crazy how much detail you can put in a smaller piece like this. I missed that message earlier. I think that was from a while ago, but yeah, I appreciate it. It's yeah, it's like it's fairly small. Like not drawing it like huge because I have like a full size page here. I could be drawing it like on the whole page, but I think this is sort of medium, like a nice medium sketch. So yeah, I love detail. I love putting in like little details and stuff when I can. I think the thing that I enjoy is starting with something super sloppy and then having it start to refine itself into something where you can actually tell what it is. And I think this one has been a good example of that because this thing earlier was not looking like anything. It was looking pretty wonky. Um, but now it's definitely starting to shape up. Decent thing here. Look. Actually, I love I know you said you don't play D&D, but there's like if you ever watch like D&D, like any sort of D&D live stream or D&D sort of like project or like like if it might be like a YouTube thing, it might be Critical Role, it might be Dimension 20. I always love it when you have the characters because they always commission like really high quality like good art from people, from good artists online, usually like some really solid like digital art, and it'll be like um the typical sort of get up and design for the character, but then people will submit fan art all the time of the characters, and it's really funny when you see like these characters who have like the traditional fantasy stuff on, but then these fans will send in fan art of them like wearing like bikini or like, like all in swimsuits or like all in pajamas or something. And it's just so cool because um when you're watching like a live stream D&D campaign, a podcast, if you listen to a D&D podcast, or it doesn't even have to be D&D, it could be something else. It could be, you know, um anything with like characters that people really care about and like spend a lot of time with, and then the fans will like make these like funny versions of them. And I think it'd be really funny to have like swimsuit versions of like all of the characters in this adventuring party. Because then you get to think of like, hey, like what swimsuit would this character actually wear if they were in like, oh, or when like all of them are drawn with like modern clothing. You have like these fantasy characters, but then now you get someone draws them all wearing like modern clothes. And so you have like one who's like the goth, and you're like one who's like the jock, or something like that. Or just like, someone's wearing athletic wear, whereas like this character's wearing like more like maybe like more like outdoorsy stuff, or like this person's dressed like a biker or whatever. And it's just like yet another way of like sort of seeing the difference between all the characters and stuff like that. It's pretty funny. So I mean, maybe that would be funny, to draw all these characters with like swimsuits or something. Yeah. Okay. So I think I don't think Callian, to my knowledge, ever had like any sort of like particular necklaces or anything. But I think it'd be kind of cool if he had like something. I'm trying to think of like what he would have, if anything. Like how exactly like that. Yeah, like how Final Fantasy partnered with Gucci. Yeah, because didn't they have like promotional images of the characters wearing like Gucci clothing? Yeah. Yeah, we'll do it. Maybe we'll do that one time. I can maybe that'll be another stream for another day. I think I definitely want to get more familiar with these characters and their like fantasy sort of designs, and then maybe like down the road, like eventually I could do something funny where like maybe we make some modern versions. But it's a great idea. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I think I don't know. I also think Callie would have like, yeah. I also think JJBA style. Oh my goodness gracious. That would be insane. I don't know if I don't know if I have the I don't think I have the ability to draw in that style. You know what I mean? And that's not to say that like I'm a bad artist, but like I think that's such a specific style, like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, because it's so wacky, like, and it's so like each part has its own art style too. So it's like being able to draw like that it would require a lot of practice of like just drawing JoJo's characters like over and over again, and then being able to be like, all right, I kind of get the style, and I kind of understand like the different techniques. I don't think I could just like off the cuff like draw like Sarek like as a JoJo's character. Like that would take quite a bit of practice. It would be really funny though. And also, even though like in part 5 they're very like I think they're riffing on like the characters in JoJo's part 5 are like supposed to be wearing like super designer, like Italian style clothing. I think it's just very like, exaggerated though. Um it's so exaggerated that it's still so ridiculous that like, you know, it's like no, this isn't normal clothing at this point. And like some of the designs are just nonsensical, right? Like Joseph's in part 3, Joseph's hat literally merges with his hair. So like yeah, so true. A crop in an 8-pack. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like I guess that would be like the shortcut to doing it. Kind of envision Callian having like an open like an open sort of collar, like or sorry, like he would be the type of guy who's like wearing like a button down, but he has like the top two buttons like unbuttoned kind of thing, because he's like rough and tumble. So I'm trying to think like with armor that is possible, but it might look interesting in a certain way, but I think we can do it. So try to do like got to be like ties or like buckles, but I'm not gonna try to draw buckles in that tiny little space there. So maybe we do like leather ties. I think leather ties could think yeah, I think there might even tie up. You want to see that button. That's looking pretty cool. Now the thing is, could have where this overlaps. So just do like a little thin, like the edge of like the leather, sort of. So tiny, you're not really gonna very well. That could work like that. Just start the scale again here. I actually wasn't planning on streaming this long tonight, to be honest, because since I'm very new to this, I was just mainly going to stream for a little bit to just see what the YouTube interface was like, and just to see like just to check my audio, and just to check like the latency, and see if my internet, my computer, were gonna be able to handle the stream, and to see if there were any issues I needed to like work out, so that when I did a bigger stream, or if I had like a bigger idea, like a more precise idea of what I wanted to, I would be ready to go. However, we got into it, and not only am I invested in this drawing and I want to finish it, which I didn't know what I was going to draw today either. I was just like, let's just draw something, see where it goes. Um but you guys are here. I got some viewers, and very cool. I was not expecting to get any viewers. Um, yeah, maybe he's wearing this like this scale mail sort of like coat like of armor, and then under that he's just wearing a crop, nothing else. Um, but yeah, so you guys popped in, and I'm like, screw it, let's run with this. Let's see where this goes. I'll finish the drawing, and this, I'm having a lot of fun. This is really cool. So thanks you guys for being here. um I like that. That's pretty cool. I think I'm gonna lighten up some of this in the hair just because we're gonna go over it with pen real quick, and add some cool line work and a little bit more shading with pen. I just kind of want to be able to see. We don't need it to be that dark, and I want to be able to like actually get what his hair is actually. Let's do like, it's always cool when they have like a strand that's fallen out. Maybe that's a little too much, but whatever. I think maybe he needs it there. I'm gonna get some pens and we're gonna finish this up. I think maybe next stream, maybe I'll stream tomorrow and I'll continue this and I will add like some gear, like I said I was gonna do. Um, and I really wanted to get his sword, but it's getting late. It's like 3 a.m. where I'm at right now, and I don't know where you guys are at, but it's, you know, getting late here. I don't need to be up in the morning because I don't have a normal job. I set my own hours, so I'm chilling, but I am getting a little tired. So I think we're gonna continue this after I ink it. I think we're gonna continue this same piece, and like I said, we'll do his sword and stuff. I think these Pigma Micron pens, if you guys were wondering, are incredible. A lot of people use them. I'm not, I'm not like some hipster who found these, who's like claiming have found this really cool thing. A lot of artists use them, but they are just so good. These are so good. For just anything really. Like if you just want to sketch with them, if you want to do line work with them, like do precision stuff with them, they're so good. They come with a bunch of different sizes. Like this is the 005, which is how many millimeters is that? 0.2 millimeters. And then you got like the different sizes, right? So you got like a 0.8, and this is 0.5 millimeters. And then you get some really cool like different too. Like this one's a brush, like a brush pen, and that's still by the Sigma Micron brand right there. But these pens are incredible. They're really good for doing what I'm doing. I love drawing with pencil and then just going over it with ink. And it gives it that kind of like sort of a little bit more of a finished look, but it also gives it sort of like a kind of like a comic book or like manga kind of vibe to it as well, which is really cool. And if you want to, you can go in and erase all the pencil after you put the ink down. Um, and it gives it like a little bit more of like a clean look. But I went kind of heavy with the pencil this time. So if I erased all of it, it probably damage the paper quite a bit. So I don't know if I'm gonna erase the pencil, but we're definitely gonna go over it with the ink just to add a little bit more punch. So I haven't used these in a while. I haven't been drawing much lately. So I don't remember exactly which one is the one that I like in terms of like the thickness. Okay, yeah, that's kind of. I think I'm gonna use it. I'm definitely gonna use this one for like smaller stuff, but I think I want to do an outline with one of the bigger ones. Add bigger. Oh, that's a lot bigger. Shit, a big difference. Okay, it looks a lot bigger. The tip looks a lot bigger, but it's not too. Spoken too soon. I might actually want to go in with the smaller one. Now I just said that I need a bigger one, but a little bit more control. Oh yeah, okay, that's looking pretty good. I actually like those. Those are some big fucking cuffs, man. Which I kind of like the look of, but I don't. I don't know. They might be a little too bougie for Callian. I think maybe the cuffs are a little too big for Callian. Simple. Actually, I don't know. It looks kind of sick. Fuck it. It's fine. There. I think that's pretty good. Big one. I'm gonna go in with a smaller one. Most of it, just to make sure I don't flap the lines too much. Yeah, I don't know. I know he's not a rogue, right? I know that he's not a swashbuckler, but I feel like even though he's not a swashbuckler, I feel like that's such a vibe for you, like as a player. I feel like you love those types of characters. So I feel like he had to have some of that DNA in there, especially being like dexterity and charisma are like primary and constitution as well. Like he's very tough. So he's a little bit more of like a rugged version of that like archetype. But and then obviously you got like the whole magic thing, the swordsman. I think this is I like the way that this is coming. Think I think it's doing Callian justice. Happy I remembered you were streaming. Love seeing the D&D art. Can't wait to see more of his stuff and the other characters. Absolutely, dude. Thanks for tuning in, honestly. Um, because don't you have work in the morning? And isn't it like you're in the same time zone I am? It's like 3 a.m. So you shouldn't even be awake right now. Oh, that's right. You're off this weekend. Callian has black hairs. Okay to go dark on the line work for his hair. It looked dark, but you still don't want to go like completely filled in. Thank you for coming in. I really appreciate the chat was really great. It was really fun talking. I hope that you tune in for some of the other streams I'll be doing. This is my first one, so we're gonna be doing more. I don't have a schedule yet, but subscribe if you want more content. I'm going to be doing content on YouTube. We're going to be doing streams like this, and then also I'll be doing like actual edited stuff as well. So good night. Great night. These pens have such great accuracy. Draw with. especially like the smaller like line tips. Usually with doing hair, you want to leave certain parts unfilled in so it kind of gives like that shiny look. It's kind of hard like when you're going fast to figure out like where specifically you want to do that, where you want color. Like I don't know. I don't think Callie's hair is that long, but this will be a version of him for hair, I guess. Every cool guy's gotta have like one front coming down white to have light coming. Not too late now. Very funny. This thing out of focus a little bit. Like I feel like y'all can see, but I feel like it's not super high quality. The pen definitely gives it a different vibe. I'm not saying I liked it better without the ink, but definitely taking it in a slightly different direction. Okay, excellent. We're almost done here, guys. I know it's late here. Honestly, though, pretty successful stream. I was not expecting to get any viewers, so that was fun. Um, really cool. Maybe we'll have someone else come in. I think the important thing is even if the details aren't like super perfect, I think it's always important just to have character, have like a vibe. Yeah, there we go. Pretty good. What do you say we give Cal some fingerless gloves, like some fingerless leather glove? Leather here. Some highlights where you can kind of see the light reflecting off of it, but I think we'll come in with the paint, the actual brush pen, and we'll just paint in some of this actually. Be the way to go instead of trying to scratch it in. I love these pens, man. So good. I think what I want to do, want to develop more of a style. Well, yeah, I think I have like a style, but like I want to hone it. Hope you guys had a good weekend. I did. It got very cold again. Oops. That's good. Good. I mean, a weekend is a weekend. You kind of miss the cold. Yeah, I've gotten super used to it ever since moving up here. Um, Dude, it's crazy. It got warm today. I know I said it was cold lately, but it got warm today, and it was 33, and I walked outside in a t-shirt and shorts, and I'm not even exaggerating. I'm not trying to brag, but I'm quite serious. I was like, dude, it feels like it's like 60 degrees. Like I remember back living in California, be like walking out in the weather and like, oh, it's perfect today. Like I can just walk out like no sweatshirt, no pants, nothing, and just be totally comfortable. I'm like 60 or 70. And then that's what 33 felt like today, which is insane. I never would have thought, you know what I mean? But it's been like 5 degrees, 10 degrees lately. And even at that temperature, um, I'm I've adjusted to it to where I don't need like thermals or like I don't really need to layer up as much. Like even at like 5 degrees, 10 degrees, like having I usually have like a t-shirt and a flannel and then like a jacket and then just like cargo pants and like maybe like some thick socks on and I'm fine. Like to go out and do errand shit. If I was gonna be like outside like all day, I'd probably wear like two pairs of socks or something. But like it's totally fine for just like going out. And so today it was like 33, and I was like, like it didn't even phase me. Like I walked outside with like shorts, and a t-shirt, and I was just like, wow, like it just feels totally comfortable just to walk around with nothing. So like I think I've like evolved as like a white guy, like dead ass. Like my ancestors are like funneling their energy in me now that I've experienced cold. And they're like, "Oh, here's all that dormant energy that you've been sort of just like unable to tap into." Yeah. Yeah, the wind chill's crazy because it's very windy up here. Very very windy up here. So the wind chill's serious. It really is. So I finally got around to watching because I wanted to watch Night of the Seven Kingdoms because it just came out. My brother said the first episode was good, and you know I've been in a kind of yeah, just don't say anything. Just don't do that maybe. Uh and I've been kind of in a Game of Thrones mood lately a little bit. Maybe it's just because it's winter. Um and I'd been on a Lord of the Rings binge and I finished that, and I'm always in a Lord of the Rings mood, of course, but kind of go through phases, and maybe it's just time for a Game of Thrones phase or whatever. Or maybe it's just because I've been seeing the trailers for Night of the Seven Kingdoms. But I hadn't finished House of the Dragon season two. because when season 2 came out, I was like busy like doing other stuff and I was just not watching a whole lot of TV. So I was like, ah, we'll get around to watching it. And then I'm like talking to my brother and he's like, hey, have you watched Night of the Seven Kingdoms? Oh, not yet. I want to though. He's like, it's pretty good. And my brother doesn't like he watches a lot of TV shows, but he doesn't really care about like a lot of stuff. Like he's just like whatever. But he was like, "Oh no, I liked it," and I was like, "Okay, cool. That means it's probably pretty good." Um, and I liked the trailers and stuff. But I was like, "Oh, I don't want to start this yet because I want to catch up on. I should catch up on House of the Dragon season. Because I actually did like the first season. Um, the first season wasn't in like it wasn't insanely incredible. It was just setting up the characters and stuff, but it did a good job of doing that. And coming off the heels of Game of Thrones, the finale being so bad, um, like any spinoff would have had like a lot of not hurdles, but just like a lot of like good graces to regain, so to speak. Like people aren't going to give it the benefit of the doubt after like the main series ended so badly. Um, so I thought it did well. Like it was like okay, cool. Like it's not crazy, but like it's definitely good. It's solid. Like the writing seems pretty good. Um, all that. Yeah, I know that you said that you weren't like a huge like you weren't really like super into it when you first started watching it. But like legitimately, dude, it's very, very good. Like the ending's ass on Game of Thrones. Like the last two seasons are really bad. The sixth season has like some really good moments in it, but overall there are some stuff I don't like in the sixth season either. But like that's to say that it still was worth it to rewatch it. I've seen the whole show twice. Like I still like even though I knew the ending was terrible, like I still went back and rewatched the whole thing. Like because I really do enjoy it. Like the characters are like really well written in most of the show until the ending. And like the world is really cool. It just looks really good. It's just a high quality show and genuinely like the story is really 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 good. Just it's a good show, and the lore of Westeros and of the world in A Song of Ice and Fire is just really really cool. So um, I would recommend it. Like I think you're not gonna like the ending. But I've never met one singular person who liked the ending of Game of Thrones. But if you can sort of just accept that and be like, all right, maybe I'll like the rest of the show though, then I would say it's a good time. There are some moments in there that are just so crazy, um, that just make you go, "Oh my god!" And I love talking about all the I love talking about all of the crazy plot twist moments. Yeah, real. Yeah, Hollywood is just a joke in general. Just the whole thing. I don't know why. Like there must have been something else going on behind the scenes. You know what I mean? Like to fumble, like to be like literally some of the greatest writers in the world in television history. And that's not even exaggerating because that's what Game of Thrones was. It was literally one of the greatest shows in all of television history for most of it. To go from that to the way that the show ended, is insane. And I know that, there's different things that people say, like they wanted to do the Star Wars thing. So they were tired of doing Game of Thrones because they've been doing it so long. And there's probably a bunch of other like possibilities. I don't know exactly what it is, but like it's there must have been more going on behind the scenes what we than what we know of. You know what I mean? It's because like how could they have done such a bad job at the ending? Like the rest of the show is so good. Like for real. Pretty good. Turned out I want to do two. I don't want to overdo. I want to overdo it. I already kind of overdid it with his hair a little bit, but I do want to finish. So I've never used one of these before. This brush one. Well, I have actually. I lie. I've used stuff similar to this before. But I just haven't used one in a long time, and I haven't used this one specifically. This is gonna be kind of fun. Uh, I think this sort of brushy kind of pen, it's like paint kind of, is perfect for filling in, obviously, like filling in stuff, but also like just getting that like brushed sort of paint look that you see. Like I don't know, like I said before, it kind of like gives like really does remind me of like a manga or something like that. Especially the mangas that like aren't colored. You know what I mean? It's just black and white. This behind generally, which is tricky, right? Because his boots are probably black too. So how heavy black or go with this? So I think we're gonna have to use more line. I'm already not really being super consistent with like the lighting, the source of the lighting, and I haven't been super focused because I'm not used to. And I know it's kind of true. Been pretty distracted. I think I'll get better. I think next time I want to do better on like the hair because the shape of his hair I really like, but I wasted the potential because what I could have done, I could have had a lot more like highlights, like where you could see like the white shining through, and it looks like the lights reflecting off the hair, like it looks shiny. Really get a lot of that just because like I'm kind of just coloring it in black in a lot of areas. I should leave like big sections in the middle, like Like maybe I'll try it with the boots right now. But I also don't want to like. The problem with Callion is all of his clothes are black, so it looks good before I start doing the shading and like the heavy blacks, but then like I'm not super experienced yet with doing like shading and stuff when it's like black on black on black, right? And that's where something like there's a lot of different techniques you can do to show contrast and stuff, even if you have a lot of black. And what comes to mind right now is I'm thinking of like Berserk. Like Berserk does a Yura does a good job of like having a character like Guts who's wearing like all black basically, but then you see all the different like reflections on the so you can still see the different items of clothing he's wearing even though it's all black, right? That's something that I would like to get better at. I will. I'm also kind of getting into this one too. Not that I don't like it, I love it, but I'm getting kind of tired. No, dude, you're good. I mean, like it's just how no, I think it looks cool with black, right? Like and like and I'm also not saying like that as a 100% fact either. Like that's just kind of how I remember you describing him, right? I just remember like in my head he's wearing mostly black cuz that's just how I remember you describing him. But I'm also not saying that that's like a fact because I don't know 100% cuz I mean, you know, it's your character and everything. Um and you don't have to change anything either. I'm just kind of like speaking how I remember. This is dangerous territory. I want to go in and add shading on all these scales, but I don't I think what I want to get better at too is doing like crosshatch shading. I'm just experimenting too because I haven't used one of these brush in a while. How to quite use what techniques. Kind of just seeing like I'm kind of just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. Like when I have highlights on the boots here, but I don't want to black it in all the way. I already lost so much detail, fortunately. You can still make it look cool. It depends on, honestly, like this, probably. There's a way to do it with like blacksmith. Not really doing it justice. But I would just try it out. I think that's what sad at this point. I don't want to say that I ruined this with the paint, but I might have ruined it with the paint a little bit. I think cross hatching also adds. I'm just being very. Kind of like heavier, like do it heavier in certain areas, lighten up. See, this looks better, honestly, than all this bullshit down here. I was trying to make it look shiny. You know what I mean? Hey, but we can salvage it though. 'Cause there's like different texture to it, so. Oh, you think? Yeah, I think so too. I think that the black on the belt does actually look pretty. So here we have like this leather part underneath the scales. So I want to like do something to make that stand out a bit more. But I'm kind of scared because got all this shit with the paint down here. Let's see. So we're gonna. This is the edge, so I want to color this in a little bit more. The actual edge of, or the edge of the armor. But I think over here. I think we're gonna color in his paint a bit more. A little better. Give him the Baldur's Gate 3 dye treatment where all the materials look different, are the same color for no. Yeah. It'll be like it'll be like red. Shit. My background just fell down. That's alright. Almost over. Be like a dye black, green, and gold. And then like it'll have like the leather will be like red, orange, and black. And be like, what the fuck? And like the metal will be like, oh, it's gold, but it also has like fucking silver and like metallic purple. Like, what? I thought it was black, green, and gold. And it's like, yeah, those are the main colors. But like each material has like three secondary colors. Ah, I know. It's kind of scared me. I heard it and I was like, what the fuck was that? Um, but it's okay. I'll fix it. To be honest. I'm not gonna lie, I just taped it because it's like a tapestry. It's kind of like a blanket kind of thing. And I wanted it on the wall to sort of like hide that like false window that's behind me. It looks very strange. So I just taped it because I didn't have like any like furniture or anything like that. So maybe I'll just get some like furniture or something like that and um attach it that way so it doesn't fall down next time. Almost done, boys. Yeah, no, it stayed up the whole last stream, but then it ended up falling down like right after the stream, I think. And this time it stayed up for, but alas, not the whole thing. Okay. So there was some real big wind this Italian here today, and there was some pretty not ales, but things that I definitely like. I really liked how it looked before I started doing the ink actually. Yeah, they look better now, I think, than they did before. Um, and I think this obviously shadow. I'm ready to go. I think type of shading I'm doing now. The shading's consistent. Um, but I really do love the design that came with this. Okay, see now I feel like a lot of the detail is starting to get lost, but fix those boots. Those boots are bugging. Oh yeah, that's way. Sometimes it's okay to lose edges, like sometimes you don't want to lose like an edge, like where like the boot is like can't see the edge of the shadow, but sometimes you want to do because it really gives the illusion that like there is shadow, and because the boot is black and the inside of the coat is so covered in shadow, like it actually does look very a lot better that way, even though you're losing the edge of the boot. And that's something that I had to like train to be okay with, because there's that part of me that says, no, wait, that's supposed to be separated because they're two different things. But then you have to think of it as like, what would it look like if I was actually looking at him? Um, I want to do more to the scales, but it's just very time consuming. I'll do a little bit more. Yeah, I think you know I learned a lot just by doing this one piece, because there are things that I like that happened after I started inking it, but it does. There's a lot that I don't like that happened, and I think it would have looked better if I had not inked it at this point. But that's just on me. I can make it look good with, and it would potentially look even better with ink. It had I not made some of the decisions, but that's okay because we'll do another drawing. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. It definitely adds more like dimension. Yeah, to be honest, I lost a lot of detail when I was doing this shading because the shading that I did is pretty sloppy. Um, if I'm being honest, like it just is. So next time, I just got to be more. I gotta make better decisions. Like I just gotta like think more about like what I'm actually rather than just sort of doing random shit. Yeah, on camera it looks pretty cool. I think looking at it in person, there's a lot of areas that I'm looking at where I'm like, oh, that area looked before I covered it. Okay, cool. I appreciate that. It's like, yeah, like when I'm looking at it like as a whole, I'm like, okay, wait, that's actually pretty cool. Like it's not as bad as and I like going dark, to be honest. Like I like going heavy on the shading. It adds a lot of contrast. It looks very good. So you can't be too afraid to like throw in fucking dark areas in there. So like maybe what I need to do to finish this off is just to add some dark areas off. Okay, I think it's gonna be it for tonight. Okay, I think I saved it by adding even more shading, to be honest. I think it looks better now that I even added like I was concerned about how dark I was going. And then to fix it, I went even darker. And I think it looks a lot better. I think that's gonna be it. I would love to do a redo of this one eventually. I think we'll move on to something else tomorrow. But I like this pose. We'll do some more stuff though for sure. Ideas, tons of content. So, all right. Well, thank you for everyone. Thank you everyone for tuning in today for the very first live stream. Went very well. I think it was very fun. We had some fun conversations. I think honestly the input from chat they altered this quite a bit in a good way. Got to talk about some really cool lore, do campaign and some of these characters, and also got to kind of talk about just designing characters and like making those stuff like that. Overall, it's been a very fun night. We're gonna have plenty more like this one. Hope everyone has a good rest of their night. Yeah, peace out.